Less than a week. Less than a week is the time it took once the story about the shoplifting allegations broke for Golriz Ghahraman to resign as a Member of Parliament. I don't know if that's a record, but it is swift. So talking of yesterday's developments, she had little choice. But it was still the decent and the right and the proper thing to do is to resign. It is not unheard of. Stuart Nash resigned. Kerry Allen resigned. Michael Wood resigned. It is not uncommon for politicians caught basically in a corner to throw in the towel. So Golriz Ghahraman at least had the decency, didn't she, to stand down as an MP. She will be replaced by Celia Wade-Brown, former Mayor of Wellington. And the excuses are already coming thick and fast. I am disinclined on a personal level or as a person to put the boot into someone when they are down, but I am going to make the following observations. Misogyny did not shoplift. Racism did not shoplift. Mental illness did not shoplift. Donald Trump supporters did not shoplift. Golriz Ghahraman resigned because she had done something wrong, egregiously wrong, from someone who is a publicly elected member of our legislature. And there can be, despite the gnashing of teeth and the wailing from James Shaw and Marama Davidson, this has got nothing to do with the pressures of being a woman of colour in politics. It is a bumpy ride. It is a bumpy ride, public life. It can be good and then it can be awful, I know, from personal experience. And I receive abuse every week, every day on social media. I do not have the luxury of calling in security to make me feel better. We all struggle at some stage, don't we, with our mental well-being and with keeping things in perspective. And I'm not sure that Golriz Ghahraman is playing the violin quite as loudly as some might suggest. But I'm not going to buy James Shaw and Marama Davidson saying this is all because there are nasty people out there. Otherwise, this wouldn't have happened. I think Golriz Ghahraman herself has actually taken responsibility for her actions and has done the decent thing and stood down, so good on her. But don't buy for a moment the cry bullying that, as we all expected, inevitably came from the Green Party about how tough it is being an MP and how terrible. Well, why didn't you have more support mechanisms in place for Golriz if that was the case, if you've known this for so long? So I don't buy that, but I do think Golriz Ghahraman has, within a week, done the decent thing. There will, of course, be news coverage of whether or not her alleged crimes are prosecuted successfully, but it's all rather academic now as she has left Parliament, and certain provisions that would have kicked in had she been convicted of crimes at a certain level are now an absolutely moot point. But we will remain interested because she is a person of public note. And I imagine she will remain so. I do not think Golriz Ghahraman will go quietly into the night. One hopes, for her own sake, that she gets her head together, if indeed mental illness was part of the problems she has faced. But given her involvement in some of, I think, the more despicable, radical and silly protest movements in this country, including shouting from the river to the sea while wearing a tea towel, I don't think we've heard the last of Golriz Ghahraman. She will, of course, for the rest of her public life, have to put up with certain jokes and certain ribbing about five-finger discounts. But that is all on her. It's not on trolls on Twitter or other nasty, small-minded people. They do exist, but you can't use them, James Shaw and Marama Davidson, as an excuse for bad behaviour.